now the story of PNAA's 20-year history from some of the founding pioneers.
We're 20 years old as PNAA, but I started this in 1989, and we formed WAA, this is the Washington Aerospace Association. Oregon at the same time was doing the same thing.
And I remember very well PNAA, and of course the predecessor organization that we first met in a beaver lodge in Portland.
I have heard that our annual conference was held at a ski resort. So 35 or 40 participants were there and had a very jovial time skiing and learning the latest in aerospace manufacturing.
Well, when I first got involved with PNAA, we were approached with a very ad hoc committee who said they were having this conference that was coming up. And we thought, wow, we do a few aerospace companies and maybe it makes sense to go to this thing. And
the mission that was formulated back in 2000 by the two different organizations that came together to merge and form Pacific Northwest Aerospace Alliance, their mission was to support the Pacific Northwest Aerospace Cluster and its competitiveness.
And when we looked at it, we are, and were, and I think still are, the largest grouping of aerospace companies in the world.
I first got involved, Bill King was soliciting new members, and he invited me to attend one of the conferences that they were trying to put on. And the conference that I attended was, that first meeting, I think there were maybe 30 or 40 people in attendance. Back in those days, everything was pretty much volunteer, and build the group that way and do it from the grassroots.
I remember the early years of PNAA. It was held downtown Seattle, just a hotel, the lobby meeting rooms. There was no need of a giant convention center way to the north of town.
In its early days, and my sort of early recollections were maybe 7 companies that were paying members of PNAA.
the next conference that we were there, the facility needed a deposit, and we were like, "There's no money." And so Moss Adams ended up, writing a check, and with the idea that we'd get paid back. And
that was in 2005. I think we managed to get 125 attendees, and the next year it went up to, I think, close to 200. And within 2 months of the conference, we had 60 or 70 members.
Bill King helped foster the idea of let's build it and they will come. He was trying to build conference and programming and get interest going.
The next year we moved to the conference, the Linwood Convention Center, and have become the largest event conducted at the center each year.
And then it was just a question of, how do we do this?
So we tried to provide the benefit and get people involved at fairly low cost, not even covering our costs.
The network that I've created in the time that I've been going to these events has been exponential. Every year you come back and you re-meet the people that you've met before, and then your network just gets bigger and bigger.
After a couple of years on the board, Melanie left the board to take on the role of PNAA Executive Director and focus on the conference.
As PNAA has moved towards its 20th anniversary, it's been very interesting to watch the growth go from just this kernel and concept and some very, very dedicated board members and company members who really wanted it to grow.
it also was when one with Moss Adams probably had a handful of aerospace companies as clients. And now I think we have probably over 300 or 400 aerospace clients.
The board of directors reflected upon those companies and executives that were accomplishing great things in the supply chain and recognizing that. And we created an awards program.
We've had CEO roundtables over the years. We even had the White House come out and asked us to put together a roundtable that was chaired by a White House representative.
There's a long tradition of Oktoberfest with PNAA. It was started by one of our board of directors, Carl Fagan. And that really showcases our international connections. Board of directors made the recommendation that we created a special event heralding the participation of women in aerospace. And that's what we did. And we called it PNA's Women in Aerospace. PNA serves as a platform for SMEs to learn new technologies and the latest that's going on in the marketplace. I've often said the PNA has a very friendly atmosphere.
It's amazing how it has grown consistently to become one of the global leading conferences. It's sort of been an interesting combination of thinking globally and acting locally.
Some of the stuff that we've introduced at our conferences in its newest stages, getting to see that later on and watch the growth of these companies. The B2B meetings are a really key piece of the conference, especially for the smaller companies that have a hard time. Let's face it, sometimes there's barriers to entry in the aerospace industry.
We've been able to really bring a global perspective to the Pacific Northwest aerospace supply chain.
There isn't an airframe in the world that doesn't have a part from the Northwest. And, the fact that we've now, over $300,000, in scholarship, to me, I just hope that's the drop in the bucket of what the future brings.
It's just one where we really think, it's a worthwhile organization. It's probably the best in the country, and definitely, best in Pacific Northwest. And
COVID has given us some opportunities. It's taken away some things, but it's giving us opportunities. Where we've come from, where we're going, I think is fantastic.
Thanks so much, Brian. It's an honor to be part of it. And thanks so much for your hard work in making this all happen, and even in these rather trying circumstances.
Thank you, Richard, and thanks to all who have contributed to PNA over the last 20 years. In the last couple of years, we've developed programs like PNA's Next, New and Expanding Technologies, our webinar series, and our Factory Fridays virtual factory tour. So whatever the future holds, PNA will continue to support aerospace manufacturing here in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. Thank you so much.